Good afternoon. This is my presentation, my professional development blog. I created a blog because I think it's much easier to handle than PowerPoints and things like that. It's on language acquisition theory and the struggling reader. So first off, you may ask yourself, what does language acquisition theory have to do with struggling readers? Maybe even, what is the language acquisition theory? You can start this off as a discussion question, and it'd be really good to hear people's answers. Language acquisition theory is a part of how we learn to read due to learning linguistic cues. The words are translated into different meanings, and children need the meaning in order to understand what they are reading. So, however, as educators and now reading specialists, we have to consider that if a student is struggling to read, are they processing the same linguistic cues? And cognitively, are their processing systems working the same as others? And what can we do to assist those students? Many things, of course. Hearing every teacher is a teacher of reading has frustrated many educators. Being able to read proficiently and comprehending is not a thing of the past, but more so a dream that teachers will be able to accurately identify what students are not processing. Recently, I created a presentation also on cognitive psychology and the theories that have developed several cognitive processing theories. And we'll discuss some of those later on. I have attached the presentation so you can see it. You can go in and click it, so it's up to you to present this information as well. And I'm just going to give a few examples once it loads. Okay, let me skip through some of it. So it's more so about the way we process things and the act of reading. So the act of reading is merely using our visual information and processing it with our internal memory and our semantic memory and many other things, but some students don't have that, and the reason they don't have that is explained through all these theories. And since 1968, even before then, the 1950s, many theorists have come up with why and how students are not processing. So I've explained different theories here, and you guys are more than welcome to go through them. But let's get back to this blog. So, while reading Lenses on Reading by Tracy and Morrow, it's apparent that supporting struggling readers in today's society has more to do with the teacher's abilities as well. Although the support provided by the teacher is only a stepping stone to the flexibility, we can demonstrate by changing the learning environment of classroom, the routines, consistency, reading opportunities, explicit instruction, support, and overall making of the invisible process to be visible for these students. It is also our duty to strengthen students' cognitive skills and develop them in order for them to see the processes. So overall, my objectives for this blog is just for teachers to gain some knowledge as to how the language acquisition theory relates to a struggling reader and the cognitive process as well as activities that will assist us in developing those struggling readers and their needs. So here you go. Just click on to my next page and I'll be discussing a little bit more on the language acquisition theory. So before we begin our discussion, let's have an activity. So this first activity, I want you to complete whole group. It's about constructing meaning from text. So the first step to helping students that are struggling readers become successful is that the educator has to realize that the way in which students construct meaning can be completely different from our own. So even at times, an adult can construct several different meanings from a given passage. So as an example, I will post a passage, and it's here. The activity is on my blog, so nothing needs to be printed. But if you want, you can print it out and it'd be easier that way, but it's more of an interactive thing with other individuals. I'd take time to view it and fill it in. If you are with a group, allow for each person to fill in one of the sentences maybe, then look over the answer keys. So it tells you fill in the blanks before you cross the line. So there's the line, so let's wait. So go ahead, read it with your class, or your group of educators, excuse me, and tell me what you think. So let's go to this answer key. Go ahead and review it. Is it something that you thought? Maybe, maybe not. As you can see, we all have constructed different meanings from this text, and as someone who once completed this task, I too felt, wow, I didn't realize the things that can come out of this. But this activity was for us to see how the language acquisition theory in some instances works. There has been the argument throughout research that it is not natural to have the ability to speak or read, but it is how children are nurtured through reading and language that they have these abilities. In some instances, we have to help students be successful by normalizing the struggle. Not everyone got every answer correct, or maybe none correct in that constructing meaning passage. And we have to allow students to know that it's okay not to have the right answer. Maybe they aren't capable of understanding this passage and filling in the blank. This is a step in the right direction, and motivating students, nurturing sort of, plays an extremely large role. Something else I want to discuss is nature versus nurture, which is a language acquisition argument, sort of. Language acquisition theory, of course, is the idea that children develop language in a set of sequence of stages, and their abilities continue to change as they progress. Language may sometimes be used correctly, but still have an unclear meaning. The words that children read are sometimes translated into different meanings, and children need the meaning in order to understand what they're reading. So activity 2, I'm just going to pass around a sheet of paper, or you can do it. Think about the idea of nature versus nurture. Do you believe that language is learned naturally, or is this something that has to be nurtured? Give a little explanation, write it down, and then let's discuss. I think this is a great discussion because this has been argued about for a very long time. You can pause the video if you'd like during these moments where you guys are discussing. Okay, so let's talk about this. The argument nature versus nurture. So it's gone on for a long time. Some researchers emphasize the influences of learning on language acquisition, which others emphasize the biological influences. So today, though, researchers acknowledge that both play a major role in acquiring language. In an article by G. Reed Lyon, they highlight that children who have stimulating literacy experiences from birth onward have an edge in vocabulary development, understanding the goals of reading and developing an awareness of print and literacy concepts. Conversely, though, the children who are most at risk for reading failure enter kindergarten and the elementary grades without these early experiences. Frequently, many poor readers have not consistently engaged in the language play that develops an awareness of sound structure and language pattern. They have limited exposure. The experiences children can either help or hinder their reading abilities. At times, children raised in lower income homes and being the first to learn English many times, their reading is lower and at a higher risk of failing. The last step is to try and assist those students through both nurturing and nature. We have to provide students with consistency with reading opportunities and explicit instruction in our classrooms. Allowing students those strategies will help them overall. We can allow students those strategies through various ways. Here's our next step. Go ahead and click. So cognitive processes and strategies to support struggling readers. The cognitive process. So throughout time, theories have come up with different solutions as to how their models of cognitive processing information has developed and how students come in contact with letters, symbols, and language overall. Starting from the bottom up, as theorists LeBerg and Samuel put it, is when the eye comes in contact with what the students are trying to comprehend. If the students' processing systems, such as short-term memory, long-term memory, their decoder, or even their visual memory are not intact, then all else will fail for them. In the early stages, we begin with classroom activities such as assessing what students know by asking them to either replicate or indicate what letter it may be, or even what shape. Guiding reading instruction is one of the best ways to monitor students' development, especially children's reading skills. Small group, whole group, and using a variety of materials will be useful. There are other various strategies that can be used to help struggling readers develop their decoding of reading skills. As an example, here's where I will demonstrate a couple types of strategies I use. I use thinking aloud and being active readers. Thinking aloud just demonstrates what the reading is thinking, writing down or highlighting, even asking questions. Excuse me. This demonstrates two different methods, but captures a lot of the reader's thinking and learning. So I posted a couple clips of myself using these methods, but before we discuss, I want to do activity 3, which is teachers' discussions is very important, especially throughout this, so sharing is the best way to do it. What are some strategies that you enjoy using, and what are the best ways to use them? So you can go ahead again and pause this video and discuss as much as you'd like. You can go ahead, you can't hear it on my end, but you can go ahead and click the video and they will play. So once again, I have listed several pages of strategies that on the bottom that can be used, and articles that can be used to either help their reading comprehension or phonemic activities. The last activity I want you guys to do is create groups of 2 and 3, and then choose a strategies. There's both of these, all three of them actually, are list of strategies that you can use. And I would like you in groups of 2 or 3 to present to the class. You can have 30 minutes to prepare using a laptop or iPad. Email it to the instructor of this professional development and have a big group discussion on the way you can use these strategies, the best ways to implement them, and what you would like to see students gain from them. So that is all for my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed the resources I have posted. Thank you so very much.